My name is Sean. I'm a junior at MIT studying
Quick maths.
So I did some DMing myself and made a post on Facebook to all my friends for advice and things they wish they knew coming into college. 4 categories: academics, life balance, career, and people. Is it saves your ass. Freedom! It's really inspiring. It's really awesome to see. Part 2 will be talking about probably the most important aspect of college, which is people. Sup guys, Sean here with the new fade. I hope you guys are all safe, healthy, and practicing social distancing. And I hope you also enjoyed my previous video. If you haven't, the link is in the description. And I hope you liked and subscribed. So throughout my life, I've been called the guy who knows everyone. So living up to that reputation, I want to talk today about the thing I know the best: people, also known as the magazine that can explain why you are single. I'm just going to start out and tell you that the people you meet in college might be the most important thing that you take away from college. Whether it's people you meet through your living group, your teammates, or even that guy down the street that's trying to convince you that the world is flat. True story, by the way. These people might have a greater lasting impact on your college experience and even for the rest of your life than any class. And so knowing all of this, it should be clear like why you should absolutely make this a priority and put a lot of effort into it. So let's first start with the basics. Why should I be meeting people? Well, first of all, many studies point to the fact that humans are inherently social animals. People, probably do enjoy spending some amount of time with others, right? Also, as I mentioned in the previous video, college can be stressful and overwhelming at times. And, having those people who can support you, provide guidance, through like your academics, your career, or even your interests will make your college experience immensely better. It can help you with your performance and your mental health, which I think a lot of people heavily underrate. And even in the long term after college, knowing these people could pay off in ways that you could never imagine. Another really great reason is consider the people that you will meet in college versus high school. In high school, most of our classmates and friends were local, but in college, you'll be meeting people from all over the US and even from the other side of the world. Seems like a very diverse crowd. But you may be asking, why is this diversity important? And to answer that, I would probably say something along the lines of, think of this as an awesome opportunity for you to learn about a different culture, learn from a different point of view, or even expand your interests. I can speak on behalf of myself. I've changed my political ideology, I've expanded my interests, and to a certain degree, I've even changed my goals in life. And all of these changes, I personally think are for the better and were greatly influenced by the people I met in college. Now that we've established that meeting people is really important, now let's talk about the process. So when you're a freshman and you arrive on campus, I highly recommend that you get your ass out there and start meeting people as soon as possible. And the reasoning behind that is that most people come into college without a set friend group or without knowing that many people. In the beginning, people are very open to meeting each other. People are actively trying to do this. They're trying to, develop strong friendships and form their group. But within a month or so, many people will have formed their cliques, and these cliques could legitimately last for the rest of college. What I'm not trying to say is that you can't make friends later on. As a matter of fact, what I'll get to later is that you should be continuously making friends throughout college. But, if you haven't already found friends a month after school has started, then I think it's going to be a little harder for you. So one thing I think that was clear from the previous video was that time is scarce in college. Think about it this way. Why would someone be willing to spend time with you versus their already established friend group? You with no credibility or no ethos versus their established friend group who to them have all the credibility in the world. I know this sounds really pessimistic, but this is a situation that could legitimately happen. Even if you want to eventually, break into that friend group, it'll take you more effort to do it later on than in the very beginning. And even if you do successfully break in, it'll take you time to adjust that new friend group and also to catch up in a way. Versus if you had done it earlier on, you could be shaping how that friend group is. So you might be asking, how do you make friends in college? My number one tip, Tinder. Nah, I'm completely trolling. So the most common ways that people make friends, especially in the very beginning, are through activities such as, sports, clubs, and even like performance groups, and through your living group, like your suite mates, block mates, whatever you call those. First of all, I think activities are a great way to do that because if you're interested in joining an activity, inherently there's already that common bond between you and the other members of that group. In general, I believe that activities actually do attract a diverse group of people in their own sense. So for example, I play badminton. And I've became friends or bonded with a lot of different grad students versus most undergrads don't really even have any sort of interaction with graduate students. So I think that in itself was kind of cool. This next one might be a bit of a hot take, but I think Greek life is a potentially great activity as well. Also, not to be confused with what life in Greece is like. Personally, I've met a lot of really cool people through my fraternity. Shout out Phi Sig. Like with club sports, you share that common bond with all your fraternity brothers as well, or, sorority sisters, depending on what you join. Frats and sororities in their own way can attract a really diverse group of people as well. And I really see that within my fraternity. One thing I think is awesome about Greek life is that brothers and sisters feel the responsibility to support one another through their times of need. And I think this is one of the great ways in college, but not the only way, to kind of feel a sense of community. So one important thing to know about activities in general in college is that during the very beginning of the school year, when you're going in, they're actually extremely welcoming because they want to make their group seem attractive for people to join. And so this also makes meeting people much easier. This again reinforces the fact that you should be taking action early on. So let's talk about the people that you live with, like floor mates, suite mates, roommates. At the very least, you should be on good terms with them because you'll be seeing them all the time. Just like you'll hopefully be seeing me all the time on YouTube. Subscribe. That frequency in itself should make it a worthwhile effort for you to develop these good relations. And in the best case scenario, they become some of your closest friends in college and maybe even throughout life. So now we're going to discuss something that I don't think a lot of high school seniors know about: meeting people through people you already know. This is something that I didn't take advantage of until I came into college. So on the surface, this basically emphasizes my previous point. You have to know people as a prerequisite to be able to employ this tactic. But assume that you already know a fair number of people. I've actually organically built up a lot of friendships like this through just my friends introducing me to others. It hasn't worked for an SO yet, but it has worked in terms of building a lot of strong friendships. And this tip actually can really come in handy if you want to meet someone specific that you find to be really cool, or someone you possibly want to work with in the future. Please don't be a snake about it. I think a friendship is two ways. Wait, sorry, wrong picture. You don't want your reputation to be shot. So something else I think that also a lot of people don't know is that not that many of your friends will probably come directly from attending classes. So in high school, I made most of my friends just by being in the same class as them day in and day out because classes had a lot of time for interaction. But while I was also studying at Ole Miss as a dual enrolled student, I realized how different most college lectures were. Alright class, today we're going to talk about why global warming is fake, a myth, and a hoax. Wow, I didn't know global warming was fake. That's so cool. It was created by the Chinese to promote their business and bring down American business. Sup, babe? Let's go get dinner tonight and then go to the club. It's also used by them damn liberals to expand the government. We don't want big government, we want small government. Thank you for coming to Professor Chow's class today. Class dismissed. Hey. Professors in college just generally lecture to a large class of students for the entire time, and students kind of just sit and listen. The profs literally couldn't give less of a crap if the students knew each other. So there's very little opportunity for you to interact with your classmates during lectures. I can't say this is true for all situations, but most of the lectures I've attended at MIT and at Ole Miss have been like this. Also, not to mention, a lot of people in college skip classes. Oops. One thing you'll notice that may seem contradictory to what I just said, but actually in reality really isn't, is that some people's closest friends will be from their major. So originally, they probably didn't form their friendship or just meet each other through attending class. But things like taking the same classes, working on homework and projects together, and just struggling with each other will bring people closer. College, and people just hella bond over that. So there is one thing that I think you should be really careful about, and this kind of goes back to my previous point regarding diversity. So I noticed that a lot of people in college just hang out with people from their major or people with similar interests. And I highly discourage only hanging out with those people, because one of the biggest opportunities of college is growing by meeting a diverse group of people. I don't think in any other point in your life you'll be able to meet a group of people that is this diverse. The people, I believe, who change your life are the people who differ from you, push you out of your comfort zone, and disagree with you. So one of the last things I want to talk about is something I believe is actually harder than meeting people, maintaining these friendships and relationships. So I feel like there are times where we take for granted just knowing someone, but just knowing each other, I feel like has almost no value to it. So in my opinion, a valuable friendship has three things: mutual growth, mutual happiness, and mutual support. To get to this point is like Lebron trying to recover his hairline. It requires a lot of time and effort. So one of the common ways to maintain these friendships revolves around this get a meal culture. And personally, I actually kind of like this culture because getting a meal with someone, like whether it's a close friend or someone you haven't seen in a while, is a great way to catch up, learn something new, start an intellectual conversation, or even start a partnership that could go long term. A brother gotta eat anyways, so why not do it with a friend? Or even if it's virtual, do it over Zoom. I gotta be straight up real with you. It's basically impossible to maintain every single friendship or relationship that you have for college. And I think the obvious reason is that
ain't nobody got time for that.
The less obvious reason deals with how you or your compatriot will change throughout college. Everyone changes in college. Some of these changes are due to factors that you can control, and some of these are maybe due to circumstances that you can't control. I think that you will see friend groups that will be very close during freshman year, but then not really be friends anymore junior or senior year, and vice versa. But I don't think that's like a bad thing at all. It's just, people are progressing with their lives. College is a growth period, but that's just something I think you should be prepared for. And don't be surprised if your best friends from freshman year are people you don't even talk to your senior year. Overall, for myself, I've benefited tremendously and am very grateful for all the relationships that I've built and maintained throughout the years. Many of my friends have been there to advise me, support me, and help me in my times of need. I'm extremely thankful for that, and thank you. You know who you are. Another thing is that just knowing people will generally be a fun time. So for example, when I was in California interning, I had arguably just as good of a social life while I was in California as I do back at school. And that's just because I knew a lot of people on the West Coast as well. It actually got to the point where I threw like 2 massive parties, and it was like 2 of the funnest parties I'd ever been a part of. There were like 60 or 70 people that showed up. Anyways, I hope this got the point across about why people in college are so important. And I want to finish up by mentioning quickly 5 remarks and hacks that I found to be particularly interesting and useful. If this is in your mind, you need to get out of your mind that college is not a party all the time. I don't know if like Neighbors, like Animal House, or Wiz Khalifa makes it seem that way, but that's just not the case. The average person probably spends like 40 hours a week on classes, homework, or even like a job on the side. And you'll probably be spending more time on work in college than you did in high school. And dude, you're not gonna spend 40 hours a week partying. My second point is that the meal plan in college can be kind of a scam. I know administration is gonna really hate me for saying this, but most of the colleges I've been to have charged over $10 per meal. So if you're a broke college student like me, and you have the option to not be on a meal plan, just know it's a lot cheaper to cook by yourself or even eat out. And there's another thing. And so almost everyone I knew last year had like 10, 20, or even in some cases like 100 meal swipes left, right? Essentially at that point, you're basically burning money like Pablo Escobar did to keep his daughter warm. Do the quick maths and figure out what works for you. But I do want to say there are two really great benefits of eating at a dining hall. One thing is the convenience, since it's probably going to be close to dorms. And the second reason is that there are going to be a large number of people at dining halls, and it makes it easier to meet people or just get a meal. My third point is that time management is super critical. If it hasn't been clear from this video and my previous video, time can be pretty scarce in college. 4 years is just frankly not that much time. Try your best and spend as much of your time as you can to take advantage of the opportunities, the people, and even just the fun in college. But having perfect time management is almost as unrealistic as getting our boomer senators to learn about technology. You know, we wish it was possible, but is it? But I think even just having the idea of time management in the back of your head at all times will go a long way. Okay, so this fourth point may seem kind of obvious, but I think it's actually pretty hard to follow under pressure. Don't say yes to everything. Don't be that guy who clicks yes to every single pop-up on your computer, even if it says, do you want to install a virus? So I can think of a few situations that this applies to. One in particular is social. I'm gonna be real with you, there's gonna be a lot of drugs and alcohol in college. Anyone who claims otherwise is probably lying or probably goes to not a normal university. And I'm not here to tell you to not do those things, because first of all, I don't know you. All I'm here to say is that please make an informed, independent decision, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be installing a virus into your life. I think another aspect deals with responsibility. Don't feel pressure to join a club, take a leadership role, or, join a team if it's not right for you, or, you just don't have the time for it. Again, be informed, do your research, talk to friends you trust. And I think with all these aspects, it's actually a way for you to kind of look at who your true friends are. A true friendship, in my opinion, is one where both people are not afraid to say no or challenge each other. So with my last point, I want to really end on more of a positive note. So if it's not clear, college is just absolutely hype and possibly the best time of your life. Everyone is going to be nervous in some way coming in, but people bond over those things. One saying I heard from MIT admissions a couple years ago that I really enjoyed was, we choose an 1,100 person team to climb an interesting and challenging mountain together. And I think this can be applied to almost any college that you go to. Enjoy the process, struggle through it together. I wish you guys the best of luck. If you liked this video and thought it was informative, please like, share, and subscribe. Also feel free to leave any comments if you thought anything was interesting, have any disagreements, or, just have any questions. I'd be happy to address them. If you want to see part 1, it should be popped up. And if you want to see my previous video on why the coronavirus death rate is probably not 4% like the media reports it to be, that should also be popped up as well. See you guys.